right, well, welcome to episode 74 of Building a U-Shaped Business with Georgie and Patty. I'm Georgie.
And I'm Patty. Hello.
And we are excited for our show today. I'll let you do a little intro if you want, because I get to talk all morning.
Sure, and that's why I'm excited. I'm always excited when Georgie is the person who is delivering the core content, because then I get to learn something too, which is awesome. It's one of the things that I love the most. One of the many things I love the most about our partnership is that Georgie is this absolute warehouse of amazing insights and information, and she is so different from me in her approach. So I learn something new every time you take over our take over our show, and I don't have to do very much work, so that's kind of good too.
It's kind of nice. The power of the PowerPoint, I guess, is
Yeah.
where it goes.
And we were chatting a little bit this morning about personal branding and about approaches to business, and we'll be talking a lot more about this next week. But just this kind of compare and contrast thing that in the programs that we teach and in our approach to sales and marketing, it's like we have two rails, and one's about sharing your expertise. It's about content marketing. It's kind of like the Maven path, and the other one is about building relationships with people, treating your clients and your business partners like people, and that's Georgie's area. Mine's more the Maven side. And if you can do both, it is just so amazingly powerful. So today's presentation is going to be about that, connecting with people, ways to build your business through relationships and people, and doing that in, and you'll hear this term a few times this month, in an introvert-friendly way. So there's not a lot of technology involved, there's not a lot of cost involved, and these things are often overlooked. We put an overemphasis, I think, on social media and showing up and making a big splash, and not nearly enough emphasis on some of the more low-tech ways of building your business. So how's that for an introduction?
I think that is perfect. Excellent job.
Well, take it away.
Okie dokie. I'm going to share my screen. I always feel like when I go to get this thing prepped and ready, and then it's not. But anyway, no, I think it is. Can you see that? I think it's there. Okay. So today I'm going to talk about 12 ways you can grow your business with little to no money or tech. And some of these might surprise you a little bit. They might be a little different than what you think that they are. And these are things that I use all the time. And the really interesting thing about this, I know some of you know I'm doing a kind of this mentorship program with Jesse Itzler and two other coaches. And this is one of the things he was talking about a few weeks ago. And I'm like, I do all those things. I think I'm going to share those because I think they're things we often forget. You know, sometimes we're looking for, how do I build a funnel? How do I do a social media post? What's the right thing to put on my website? And we forget about some of these things here that are really, really, really important. So my quote of the day is, the business of business is relationships, and the business of life is human connection. And this is from one of my faves, Robin Sharma. And sometimes I think we forget about the importance of the humans in our businesses, our clients, the people we know, and it's easy to get attached to, like I say, the kind of the systems and those kinds of things, and we can lose sight of really how important the people are. And I love this because it also connects it just to life, because business is really just another extension of how we're showing up every day and what we're doing, especially for purpose-driven people like most of us on this call are. So having some ways to really kind of reconnect to relationships with people is my intention today. Having said that, my permission slip for you today is take what fits and ditch what doesn't. Some of these things are going to feel really comfortable for you. Some of these things maybe, I know, It doesn't fit my personality. I don't want to do it. I don't like it. And that is completely okay, right? So just take what fits, ditch what doesn't. You can try some things. Maybe there's some things you're like, I don't know. You can give it a go and be like, oh, I like it or I don't. Again, this is a U-shaped business. It's what works for you. So these are not 12 things that you absolutely have to do. If you do, awesome. And if you don't, awesome. So these things are going to help you to grow your business and as well as build your influence. And I guess it could help you build like that Instagram influencer kind of thing, but that's not really the intention of it. It's really, I would say, more of an authentic influence of people, maybe more around leadership, those kinds of things. They're all very simple. They're easy to do. Most of them are really, really, really low cost or low tech. The majority are zero cost, zero tech, but because, they do involve email, I didn't want to lie. So low cost, low tech. Anyone can do them. They're available to absolutely anybody. And some of these things, if you don't know how to do them, they are learnable. Through practice, you can get better at them. Number one, your top 10 list. Some people have a top 25 or a top 50, but I wanted to make this a little bit easy and available to everyone. So I like to call it my top 10 list. And when I'm thinking about a top 10 list, I'm looking at a couple of different things. We start to think about who are the people that could actually help you move your business forward. Now, these could be maybe people that are out of your reach right now. So these don't have to necessarily be people right here in this moment. These could be people you could partner with. It could be potential clients you'd like to take on at some point. It could be people that maybe could help you speak. It could be people that you just really admire. It could be people who are already working with your group of people. And the thing with this is you want to start just getting on their radar. You want to let them know that you exist. So with people on your top 10 list, you could reach out to them, say, every quarter. And these could be simple things like, I'll actually go back to the quote there where we had with Robin Sharma. I love Robin Sharma. Eventually, one day, I would love to interview Robin Sharma. Not yet, but one day, because I want the timing to be right and all of these kinds of things. But I know I'm on his radar. Like, I've gone and heard him speak. I've had a conversation with him. And he's like, oh, you're the first Georgee I've ever met. Awesome. I've sent him handwritten notes. He's replied. I can comment on his social media. Really love that post. Really like this. Like, there's things you can do they're easy, but we just want to stay on the radar of these people. So every 4 months, just make sure you're making some kind of reach out, some kind of connection to let people know, hey, I'm here, so that when the time is right, you will be a little bit familiar. And then you're not going right in with an ask, like, hey, come and do this thing for me. So this is really one of these things. This is kind of that long-term building the relationship, nurturing it, but you're aware of where you want your business to go and who are some of these people that might be able to help me or that I might want to bring in or I might want to talk to. Maybe they can mentor me or give me some advice. So there can be a lot of different people on this top 10 list, which is why it's easy to actually grow it to 25 or 50. But let's keep it simple and let's just start with your top 10. The next thing is to actually reach out and direct message people. And one thing that you might not know is sometimes there's people I think that we all have on our list and we think that they are unreachable or we're not sure how to get to them, or we think like, there's too many gatekeepers or there's too big and those kinds of things. In my experience, especially nowadays where people are getting a lot of emails in their inbox and often they don't answer the phone maybe as often as they used to, you can really use social media because a lot of these people are managing their own social media. They are looking at their own messages, their own DMs, their own private messages. So if you have someone that you really want to contact and you really want to reach out, use direct messaging on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. And even if it's every quarter, you're just reaching out and saying something, you may be really, really surprised at who actually responds to you. And I say this to you because it has happened for me. I have used social media to reach out to people who honestly I thought were the odds of them replying probably not so good, and they reply. And even if it's sometimes it may be, hey, thanks so much, loved your message, and I just don't have time right now to do this or to do that, they're still replying. You're still starting to create a relationship with people. So use social media. Don't be afraid to use those kinds of things. And it may take you a few reach outs, but that's okay. Something we don't think about it. When you're sending messages, and whether this is a social media direct message or an email, but especially an email, you want to write a proper message. You want to take some time and you want to put some thought into what this looks like. The very first thing I want you to do is remember that you are sending this to a human being. There's an actual human on the other side of this. Really get clear about your intention for doing this and starting to think about the connection you want to create, not from that space of I want something. So think about if this person was standing in front of you, what would you say to them? The first thing you can do when you're sending this message, if you can, is kind of establish some credibility. Maybe easier for some than others. You might say, let's say you're reaching out to someone and you work with women or you work with leaders. You might just start off with that, right? I have a leadership program. I like to help people move up their ranks to become a better leader. Something quick and easy that can just establish credibility. Another thing could be, I saw you speak at this summit or you organized this summit. I really loved your summit. Somebody I know who maybe you know they have credibility with them referred me to you. Something for them to just kind of, why do I want to pay attention to this person? And it can be really short. Get to the point quickly, right? People don't have a lot of time. If you can, you want to keep these things really concise, like literally the whole thing, 5 or 6 sentences. We want to be short. Know your audience. Know who you are sending this to. Spend some time to do a little research. Know what's important to them. Know what they believe in, right? Don't just willy-nilly, oh, I saw this thing, I'm going to email them right now. Like actually take some time to get to know the person that's on the other side of this email or this direct message, because this may be the only shot you get. So take a little time to make it worthwhile. Make sure you tell them what's in it for them, right? You want to get in their shoes. Why do they care? What's the win in this for them? Really, really look at, am I solving their problem? Is there a way this is going to help them? But why should they actually respond to whatever it is you're going to ask in this email? And then have a call to action. Get to the point. If you want something, ask for it. If you want them to get on a call, if you want them to book an appointment, if you want to be on their podcast, if you want to speak at their event, whatever it is, have that call to action, ask for it, and make it easy for them to say yes. Don't make it where they've got to do a whole bunch of emails back and forth to get some information. You know, it could be like, if you want to get on a call, here's my calendar. Would any of these times work? If they reply and they say, this is the time that works, and this is a kind of a big deal for you, figure out a way to make it work. Don't come back and say, oh, well, that'd be really great, but you know, I only work between the hours of this and this and not, no, don't do that, right? Think about the human that's over there and make it easy for people. And then follow up. So if you send a message and you get nothing, crickets, 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 you haven't heard anything back, it's absolutely acceptable to just basically go back to that email, send like kind of a little reply thing. I'm just following up on below. Again, short, concise, where people can look at it and, okay, I know what you want. It's quick, it's easy for me to reply right now. And often we think about, oh, I'm being a pest. I don't want to do that. It's a little nudge is absolutely okay. And again, even if you think of yourself, your inbox may get really full. Sometimes we miss messages in our social media, especially because sometimes there are those little hidden mailboxes that we don't know are there. So a little nudge, a little follow-up, perfectly okay. But just, I think the biggest piece of this is to really understand that you're talking to a human being and why would they care? Get in their shoes. It's so, so, so important. Be a human. So when you're building relationships with people, and whether this is your clients, whether it could be referral partners, whether it's just people in your network, be a human with people. So what would a human do? As humans, and think about your friendships that you have with people. And if you're not doing these things in your friendships, you might want to add them because you might have better friendships if you do this. But they're just really good overall relationships. Jesse likes to call these the 3 C's. But so the first thing to do is console people. If people are having a bad day, if people are going through a rough time and you know it, console them. Check in. Have some empathy for people. And then compliment people. Tell people they're doing a good job. Your clients, often we don't do that. Your colleagues, your competition, your friends, great work, love that. Awesome book, cool article. Read your report, it was amazing. I liked it because. Give people compliments and give them some feedback of why you like these things. Sometimes we're so quick to want to point out what people could do better and how they could improve, but spend a little time doing just as much kind of complimenting, and then congratulate people. If you know things like maybe their kids graduated from high school or college or got a new job, or they've done a race and the fact that they completed it. Congratulate people for things that they do that aren't necessarily even business related. Like, take this outside of just that and kind of, oh, well, if I compliment my clients or congratulate my clients, it's really good for my business. And have a sort of that pure, what I like to call just being a human intention, and have those things where you're actually paying attention. And as you deepen your relationships with people and you start to find out what's really important, I had one, I'm going to call her a friend now, referral person, that kind of thing. And when we were talking, she was talking about wanting to be in the choir and she's going to join this choir, and it was a really big thing for her. And then she actually did it and she got to do like this solo thing. And so being able to just congratulate her on taking that, nothing to do with her business. It was just a personal thing, but it's really going to help to strengthen your relationships because it shows that you care about people. It shows that you actually care about the other human in front of you, not just from a transactional point of view, but you're listening and you're caring. So console, compliment, and congratulate people. Write and send handwritten cards. This can go so far, and it can be a thank you card. It can be a congratulation card. It can be a thinking of you card. It can be, hey, I went to this restaurant last night. Here's their card. Thought you might really like it card. It can be for almost anything. But in this day and age, especially, it really does help you to stand out. And this works for 2 reasons. One, when you actually take the time to write a card, it shows people that you carved time out of your schedule. They were important enough for you to take a few minutes of your time and actually write something to them. Because when we give people our time, they actually feel really important. They feel like they care because you had to do something that it's easy to send a gift or spend some money and do that kind of stuff. But when we take things that require time, it just goes a little bit further with people with feeling like they matter. So sending handwritten cards, I do it every single day. I've done it for a very, very long time. I think for me, I also just like that feeling of sitting down and writing and thinking about people that, there's a bit of a connection that happens. So it is one of those things that can help strengthen your relationships. I get that it's also more challenging in this day and age because we just often don't collect people's information. We don't have their addresses. So this might be one of those things where you're like, yeah, no, and that's okay. It's totally fine. Maybe you start with just little thank you cards. I don't know, but It is something that I have noticed really does help to strengthen relationships, because most people just get bills in the mail these days. They don't get something that's a little more thoughtful. And especially if it's just for no reason at all. No reason at all cards are like the best. Which, it's easier to send a no reason at all card when you're actually getting to know the people that are in your business and in your life, because you just know more about them. So it's so much easier to send these cards. Follow up. Follow up with every single activity you do. If you've had a coffee meeting with someone, follow up. Hey, really enjoyed that coffee meeting with you. Love being able to catch up. Hope you're, good luck on this next race you're going to have running. Follow up with everything, with your clients, with things you might think are just like kind of almost really insignificant. Quick little follow-up. And this can be like, say, email, direct message, doesn't have to be anything big. Thanks for chatting with me yesterday. Loved the conversation. Thanks for taking the time to send me that email. That was awesome. Really love that article you shared with me. So cool. It just gives you a connection point, and it gets you used to following up, which is even going to be more beneficial with your clients and referral partners. Do more than is expected. We often hear about, over delivering, give people more than you said, that kind of thing. But look for ways that you can do this that's not just with clients, that this could be with just people you meet, with referral people. What could you do that's just a little bit more than is expected? One example could be, even think about, maybe you've been asked to go out for dinner, but you can't make it. So sorry, I can't make it. That's okay. What if you bought the dessert for the people that were going for dinner? You're like, what? You did that for us? That's kind of cool. What if you have a client who you know is going to be going on a vacation to somewhere you recommended? What if you sent a little gift basket to help them have a safe and happy travel trip? Something like that, right? It's just a little bit more than is expected. It's kind of those things too, where if you know things about people, you know things that they really, really like, it makes it easy to go just a little bit above and beyond, because you've taken the time to find out what's really important to them. So then these kinds of things can become really, really personalized. Often, a lot of these things too can be, give someone a little bit more of your time. Maybe they're in their program, your program, or your coaching or something like that, and they're kind of struggling with something, and you're like, you know what? Let's just get on an extra little call right now. I was thinking about you today. I can see that seems to be there's a little issue here. How about you just send me that email, or we get on the phone right now, because I can kind of help you through this really, really quickly. It's not in your contract, but it's a little bit extra when you see that someone is really struggling. Go a little bit above and beyond. Really, really, really goes a long way. Like I say, you can do this not just with your clients, but with people that you're nurturing relationships with. Really cool thing to do with someone that you're, maybe you're wanting to build like a referral thing with, but you've really been paying attention. And this is where you can send, hey, I know you really love the New York Jets. Did you see this cool thing about that? Or, hey, here's a cool Jets bobblehead or something. I don't know. I see you collect snails. Have you seen this kind of snail? Here's some snail candy. Like, really kind of unexpected things that just show you care, that you've been listening and paying attention. That kind of stuff, I'm telling you, huge, 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 huge. Be a connector. Help people. If you can't help people and you know someone who can, connect them. Help people build relationships with other people. This is one of the biggest skills, I think, especially if you are a natural connector. If you've got a giant network of people, this can be so easy for you and so, so valuable. Like when you hear someone that's just like, oh yeah, I'm really looking for this. Oh, I know somebody. How about I just introduce you? And you're doing it for the sake of just being helpful, not because you're looking for something to come out of it. Well, I'll connect you to this if you do that. No, it's just like, hey, I can help you. I know this person. Happy to do the intro. So really pay attention and notice, where can I be a connector? This is an easy way to be able to add extra value to someone and to be of service. Be fully present. Oftentimes we go to things that we don't want to go to, or we go to things that we think are going to be boring. And I mean, ask me how I know, where I sit and I don't want to go. Why did I say yes to that? Oh, how can I get out of it? Like, seriously? Instead of doing that, when you go to this thing that you wished you hadn't said no to, but you did, and now you're there, and or maybe it's totally different than what you thought, actually fully show up. Be like, okay, I'm going to be here. I am going to find the good in this. I am going to at least look at the people that are around me. I'm going to be really aware of how I'm showing up. What energy level am I bringing here? Because I can tell you, if I'm sitting there going, this is so stupid, this is so boring, I'd really rather be home in my pajamas, that's emitting outside of me. It's like I'm just like a walking like cloud of gloom kind of thing. But if I can show up and actually be like, okay, all right, there has to be something good in this. If nothing else, maybe the person next to me, you know, hey, how are you liking the show? Totally sucks. Oh, I get it, you know, but you never know where you're going to meet people. You never know where that next connection is, that next client is, that someone who knows somebody. But if you show up fully present, like actually being where you are, you're going to be much more open to opportunities. You're going to see things differently because you're in more of a positive frame of mind. So find a way to get yourself there. Oftentimes we go to things with friends or connections, and it may be something they really, really love and we really, really hate. But we're going because, you know, we want to build and grow that relationship. So find a way to enjoy it, to actually be where you are. And that applies really all the time, but especially for things where I find it's like, find a way to show up happy. Stay late. So this one, especially if you are speaking at an event, if you are giving a presentation somewhere, make sure you hang around for those people that might be sort of lingering in the back, waiting for an opportunity to talk to you. Like, take the time to talk to people. I often think, you know, if people took the time to come and hear me speak, I will stay there until the last person that wants to talk to me goes. I'm 100% okay with that. And that's just me. I get that sometimes we have situations and we can't, or we have to be somewhere else, or maybe we have a babysitter we got to get home to, whatever. I get that it's not always possible, but when you can, stay as long as you can. Because often, and I only know this because I'm kind of like this, there'll be, if I want to talk to somebody and there's a big crowd, I don't feel comfortable going in with the crowd. So I kind of like to hang back till it sort of dissipates a little bit and it's a little more comfortable for me. And then I can go in and talk to that person. And often the conversation is even better because there's not rush for the next person, next person, next person, next person. So if you're going to an event as well, and there's people you want to connect with, stay a little while. See who might be there near the end, because there might be some great connections for you that you might miss if you rush out. And I think this also applies to being discerning to the events that you're going to. Is, you know, pick events where you know your people are going to be. And if you're going to invest the time to be there, stay a while, get to know the people. Maybe it's the cleanup people, maybe it's the organizers. It's those people at the end that have a little more time when they're not trying to rush everything together, that you may be able to build deeper connections with. This has happened to me, again, multiple times when I take the time to stay. Sometimes I'm just tired and I want to go, and that happens too. But when I am intentional and I'm hanging around, that's often where I'll catch the big speaker, just chilling, getting ready to go out, you know. Oh, hey, that was really awesome. I can get 4, 5, 10 minutes or whatever. I can actually introduce myself because there's just a different vibe happening when they're just sort of chilling. So do that when you can. Know who your people are and go where they're at. often we think this only has to happen in, say, conferences or networking things. But if you actually start to think about, who are my clients? What are the things they like to do outside of, say, building their business or those kinds of things? Where are they hanging out with for fun? And is some of that fun the same kind of fun I like to do? I think that's the best combination, it's like, oh, okay, I see a lot of my people at, for me anyway, because I like adventure type things, at like actually entrepreneurs that fit my ideal kind of people that participate in these like 100-kilometer trail races. Now, I can't run that far, but I can volunteer, so I can go volunteer there. I often meet people out walking or doing different things like that. But this only happens when I actually know who my people are and where I can find them. And so I encourage you to just start thinking a little bit outside the box. Think about the activities you actually like to do, because often our ideal clients have a lot of the same kind of characteristics and traits that we do, and we just don't think about it. And sometimes we're not in sort of that frame of mind, so we're not even talking to people. Whereas if you think about humans, I'm building a connection with a human. I'm saying hello to a human. Oh, this person, this person. It's interesting, I find, how we can actually start to nurture these relationships. Like I've seen people that if I go for my daily walk at the same time, there's this group of people where it's like, good morning, good morning, good morning. I might just good morning them for maybe a few months. Then it might change to a little something different. Oh, how are you today? Hey, by the way, I've been seeing you here every day for like the last 4 months. What's your name? Oh, I'm Georgie. Da, 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 da. And then it just kind of progresses. And these are slow ways to build relationships. You're not necessarily going at them because I'm looking to get clients, but it's just a way to kind of be open to new possibilities, because you just don't know. And I think really all of these come down to just being a human. Be human. Think about people as actual humans. Human, 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 human. It's really, really helpful. Be known for something. Now this could be your work. It could be, maybe you're the guy that wears a bow tie all the time. Maybe you're the guy that's known for delivering the big basket of Halloween candy. But when you think about this, I don't want you to go create something, go make something up, because this often occurs very, very naturally. You may be the person that's known for connecting people. Oh my gosh, Patty knows everybody. Everybody. I know when I need somebody, I'm going to Patty, because she's got everybody in her list. Right? And
that would not be this Patty. That would be some other Patty.
I think you're just being modest. I actually couldn't think of a different name, so it's just like, Patty, I see your face. But we all kind of know these kind of people. So often these things come up where we're kind of known for something, right? I get a lot. Oh, you do that Y thing. You do that Y thing. You do that Y thing. I do that Y thing. Maybe it's just you get known for being just one of the nicest, kindest people in the world. Oh my gosh, every time I see her, she just gives me a smile. I just feel so good around her. She's like sunshine, So I think they happen naturally, but start to pay attention to the things that people are actually recognizing you for. Because when you have something like this, it's like, oh, I'm top of mind, I'm top of mind, I'm top of mind. And then you might, oh, right, I do send these Halloween candy baskets to everybody. Maybe I expand who I send Halloween candy baskets to. When I worked in insurance, I used to make apple pies. When my tree would make apples, like have lots of apples, I would make apple pies. And then I had so many apples, I'd make so many pies, and I'd deliver them to all the businesses up on Dunbar Street. So then I became known as this apple pie lady. Maybe not super beneficial, but it was a thing. So just kind of notice the things that you're already doing that people are recognizing you for. That's my 12 things. I probably could have numbered them, but I didn't. But I think the biggest thing is just, it's really connecting into who you are, what works for you, and realizing that people are people, you know, from sending an email, from sending a card, from sending a direct message to somebody, from talking to the person next to you at an event you don't want to be at, to staying late, all of those things. Remember that that is a human in front of you. That human in front of you has more than likely the same insecurities, the same fears, the same thoughts, the same like, oh, I don't really know, you know, like if you can look at that person like that, it's going to make this so much easier, and you are going to build more connections, deeper connections, more meaningful connections. Your relationships are going to be better. And the more you're able to do that, your business will grow. And it doesn't have to be with hundreds of thousands of people. It can be with just a few. But if you spend this time nurturing these things and doing these things in your current relationships, you will see a huge difference. Okay, stopping my share.
I like it.
Patty connector.
Yeah, right. And like I'm listening to what you have to say, and I'm like, yeah, okay. So this was another presentation kind of for me. I'm like breaking out in hives at some of these suggestions. Seriously, and like I'm all for the snail candy, but like talk to strangers, go where they are. I mean, if they're like me, I would be showing up in their living room when they're doing Netflix and chill, and I think that that's going to be a little creepy.
Try it.
You go first. No, I'm not going to dare you on that one. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, such great information. So like this is one of these presentations where I realize just how different Patty and Georgee are. Because you got this bright smile on your face. It's like, talk to people, meet people. This is awesome. And I'm like,
well, and I think the other thing too is often it's only one or two people. Like sometimes I think people can get confused and think, oh, I'm going to walk into this event, I'm going to talk to everybody in the room. It's not that. It literally can just be, maybe it's just the person right next to me because I feel kind of awkward, and I'm looking for like a buddy or some support, you know? And it's like, so what brought you here today? You know? And then you just never know where those relationships can lead to. Like it's funny, it's just as I think about that, I'm like, oh, I remember when I was at this event and I was by myself and I was like, oh gosh, and woman sitting next to me. So I'm like, hey, so you know what brought you? And now we're like literally such awesome friends and business kind of referrals kind of thing that just happened from these little interactions. So, I think it's having like real conversations, not just the chit-chatty surface level kind of things.
yeah, that's the we were just talking about this before we started this presentation about the idea that, believe it or not, we are both introverts. I mistook Georgee for an extrovert very early on with her very people-oriented kind of approach. But we are actually both introverts, and a lot of what we talk about is just that, having these deeper connections with a smaller number of people. So I'm just going to put you on the spot, and I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that I struggle with. I'm not great at networking events. I'm not great at the mix and mingle, and a lot of that is because it's small talk. And I am just the part of my brain that's wired to small talk didn't get wired or something. How do you get people into a deeper conversation without running into that trailed off small talk thing?
The first thing I do is I look for the person that probably looks as awkward as I feel in the room. So I'm looking for
that would be me. This is how we met, by the way.
I'm looking for that person where I'm like, that looks like a safe space for me, right? So then I'm like, okay, great. I love the first question of let's say it's a networking event or something like that, or you know, if it could be like a mixy mingle. how do you know the host? What got you here? I'm looking for something that I can go into. And usually people will start talking. Oh, I saw this thing on Meetup. Oh, what drew you to what drew you to come here? Oh, well, I have a da 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 da. Oh, tell me more about your business. What do you like more about that? How did you get into it? Why is it more important to you? I love questions because I know if I can ask a few good questions, I don't have to do a lot of talking. They're going to talk. So I like to go armed with some good questions, and especially some good questions that are going to move beyond what's the weather, I like your shoes, where'd you get your purse, that kind of stuff. So if it's something like that, I usually like, like, so what got you out here tonight? Kind of things. And sometimes, I'll just go right in like, oh my gosh, I don't know about you, but I just came over to say hi because I'm feeling kind of nervous and I kind of suck at this whole small talk mingling thing. And you just look like a nice person. So I thought I'd come over and say hi. And sometimes it's just like, whoosh, oh my gosh, me too. I feel like that too. Oh, so tell me more about you. Who are you? What's important? Those kinds. So I think being armed with some really good questions that are going to go there. I know if I walk over and say, wow, it's a pretty clear night, hey? I'm getting weather talk. And I'm like, ugh. So knowing some questions ahead of time, because generally people like to talk about themselves. It's easier.
All right. So not to contradict what you said, because that's a great tip. And I've tried that before, and I'm not going to say it didn't work, because it does work, and it often works amazingly well. And you can ask questions, the other person can do all the talking, and it works just like whoever Zig Ziglar or whatever said. Oh, just get people talking about themselves, and they'll think you're a great conversationalist. But sometimes, especially if you happen to meet a fellow introvert, they will turn around and ask you the same question back. So if you do this, think strategically about your questions and ask questions that you would like to answer. And secondly, think about how you would respond. Because the first time I did this, I asked questions, and they were good questions. And it was just, and the person's like, oh, what a great question. Answered it, and then asked me the same question. I'm like, I'm like this flopping fish. So beware of the question thing. Sometimes that works too well. So have some good answers too. And I'm just going to answer my own question here too, is it can also be helpful to go in kind of armed with stuff to say.
Totally.
When people ask you stuff like, a story or something, or just not even in response to a question, but sometimes, this is for my introvert friends, sometimes people just like it when you just talk. Like that's an extrovert thing, that extroverts just go and they talk, and they kind of like it when you do that too. And sometimes, especially when you're talking to extroverts, they don't issue invitations. They just expect that you're going to say something, which is really, really, really awkward.
You can use the honesty card there too. So let's say you do get stuck and you've asked a question and then they toss it back at you. You could actually go with, you know what? That's a really great question. And I'm so awkward at these kind of conversations. I came with questions and I hate it when people ask them back to me, but okay, let me think about it for a second. Honestly, you can actually say what you're feeling, and you want to see just the guard go right down. It feels weird to say it, like, oh my God, I can't say that. But you can.
Just like, you know when they give you those like sticky name tags to put on, right?
God, I hate the name tags,
I love the name tags because I can't remember names. I just love it when they have name tags. You can, and I can do all that name stuff, right? Like repeating your name 3 times or whatever, and I'm still going to forget it. Because my socially anxious brain has just gone off on a loop, and I'm like, I don't know. I know you said it 3 times, and I'm not going to ask you again. And it's just like, name tags are awesome. But I was just thinking that when you have the chance to write on it yourself, you can say something like, I'm shy, talk to me.
Oh, totally.
I put a smiley face on all of mine to make up for the fact that I look terrified. The name tag smiles for me, but
smiley face is great because it looks approachable. It's like, oh, she must be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I fake a lot of people out with that smile.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. There's so many little things you can do actually that make it easier to make you more approachable if you don't feel approachable.
Yeah, and that advice about staying late was great, and the going early is also really good
Yeah.
because if you arrive before other people do, first of all, they'll often put you to work, which I like. That's a relief to me. It's like,
Yep.
for sure, I'll help you set up the chairs, right? But you also get kind of used to a, a room with fewer people in it, and then when it gets to the terrifying part where there's lots of people in it, you kind of have acclimated a little bit to it.
So true. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Any questions, thoughts? Definitely smiley face on my name tag. Yep. Someone's known as the crochet lady who was at the key. It's funny the things we can get known for too, right? So it's and sometimes it's hard actually to break out of the things that you're known for,
Yeah,
especially
and see,
when
you're talking to me again, okay? Because if you don't already know, for the small handful of people who actually do know who I am, a lot of them know me from like back in like, I don't know, 2012, when I wore pajamas to networking events as an attempt to stand out. And I'll tell you that works really, really well. It both retracts and repels, and I still get people saying, "Oh, aren't you the pajama lady?" I'm like, yeah. So that's
yeah.
it, it's probably a really great idea for somebody that has a personality that is not mine. That was a little too attention attracting for me to be able to cope with. It worked. Doing weird stuff like that does work.
It does work.
But
Yeah.
as one of my clients told me, like really early on, it's like, it's too bad, Patty, that you're known for wearing pajamas to events instead of being known for your brain. And that it just kind of included in for me that I was
Yeah.
trying something that wasn't really in alignment with who I am and what I stand for and what I want to be known with. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. Have a
It is
question
hard
here.
to escape it though.
It's well, and even if you have something like that too, it does provide, it's a good conversation starter. Oh yes, I used to be known for that, and then what I realized was, but now I do that. Like there's, so even at least I was, anything that's going to help someone else kind of start the conversation is awesome. Question: you haven't talked about all of this in terms of being vulnerable. That is what I hear. What are your thoughts? Absolutely.
Oh, here are my
Yeah.
thoughts. We have a theme going on today.
Yeah.
A little bit of talk about introversion today, and a lot about talk about introversion next week. And next week is my turn to talk about stuff, and we're going to talk about marketing for introverts. And this thing about being vulnerable, sharing your personal story, plastering your face all over the internet, taking those photos for your personal branding, and when you go to your website, you're just horrified to see this enormous version of you. You know, running like, just go live on Facebook, just turn your camera on and talk to people and take a lot of selfies and advertise all of that stuff and dig out your deepest, darkest, most vulnerable personal stories and tell them to everybody, because that's a great way to get known. And that kind of advice is really terrifying for those of us who are introverts or who are not wanting to do that. And there are other ways to grow your business and to build your business that are a little bit more introvert friendly. So stay tuned. I've got lots of stuff to share on that next week. But basically, when you look at personal branding, there's kind of three pieces of personal branding, and that look at me, I'm the center of attention, is only one option. There's two other options. that are not so much that. And I'm not saying that you can't show up, because you have to be part of it, but it doesn't have to be all about you. You don't have to center yourself. But we get that message. That message is loud and clear out there, because when we look around, the people who are comfortable in the limelight and want to put themselves out there and talk about themselves, and the people who are like, no problem, I'm going to take photos of myself and then I'm going to pay $400,000 in Facebook ads to make sure everybody sees my smiling mug. We see a lot of that, right? And we start to believe that that's the only way to do it. But there are quieter ways to put yourself out there. We're going to talk about that next week. So.
Yeah, and I think
tell them a little
sometimes
bit excited about this.
a little bit excited. Yeah. And I think sometimes with the vulnerability piece too, a lot of times it's honestly just kind of being honest and authentic with showing up as who we are, and coming from that space where it's okay to actually say, I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable right now. I'm feeling a little bit nervous right now. For some reason, I keep recording this thing to my computer and not to the cloud. I don't know what's going on today. You know, I think it's kind of in that space of vulnerability, and often it doesn't have to be, I'm going to share all my deepest, darkest secrets with you so that we can build a connection. And, you know, it doesn't have to be like that, but I think it's more from that space of kind of just honestly showing up as who you are right now in this moment. That level of vulnerability, which I think it's really in alignment with being just authentic, instead of trying to be somebody you're not, trying to convince people of things. No, you know, and I think when I think about relationships,
using it
exactly
to build an audience and make
yes.
a spectacle of yourself in some ways.
Yeah,
like there's a little bit of that sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a place for vulnerability in service of your clients. And we were just talking about this before the show here about Brene Brown. Talk about vulnerability. She's going to come up, right? And I had the privilege of seeing her in a small breakout room at a conference, actually. And somebody asked her a question about, she says, I just realized from your talk that I've been shaming my daughter. And what do I do about it? And Brene is just like, I am a researcher. I've been studying vulnerability. I just got on the stage and gave this big talk. She says, sometimes I shame my daughter. And I'm like, you could have heard a pin drop in the room when she kind of admitted that. But that was the kind of vulnerability that was in service to this client. She was just like, it was empathy. And it was like, I understand how you feel. I've done it, and this is how I handle it. You know, this isn't something that she was using in some kind of a manipulative way. It was just very, it was very real. It was very much a connection. It was extremely powerful and effective, and that sticks out in my mind. It's like we can be vulnerable in some situations, and it's an awesome act of service. And other times it's kind of just, it's almost like a play for attention, and there's a very different feel to those two things.
Yeah, it's that authenticity piece, you know, that comes into it. And, you know, what's my intention behind this, what I'm going to share here. But yeah, I think the more open and honest we are with the relationships that we build, which includes that vulnerability to be human, like say, the more we recognize that I'm a human and you're a human, and we're both showing up in this thing as humans, it's a lot easier, and the connections are more meaningful, and they are stronger, and they are on more of that deeper level instead of the surface thing, because we're connecting from that space of, I get you, and I'm not trying to be something I'm not. I'm not trying to show up as this guru or this expert or this person who knows everything, because I'm not like that. You know, sometimes I'm scared. I hate walking into places. I'd rather stay home with my head over, you know, under the covers and kind of things like that. And I think it's just being you. And often that's the hardest thing to do, is to show up as just as us. So yeah. So good. I didn't have any upcoming slides, so.
Oh yeah, well I can talk about upcoming next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Introvert, how to market when you're introverted, and for my extroverted friends that are here, these things are awesome for extroverts too. World is unfair. They might be actually a little harder for the extroverts to implement, but would be very helpful. But if you feel, you know, if you're kind of in the introvert category, which by the way, both of us are, even though we're doing this super brave thing, showing up, doing this stuff on camera. We are both introverts. We are different kind of types of introverts. We're going to talk about that next week too. We're going to talk about introvert friendly marketing stuff. It will, and if you're my type of introvert and today's presentation gave you hives, you'll kind of like what I have to say next week. This is not going to involve sending scary notes to people you've never met before. But that's what we're going to talk about next week. And then kind of save the date. Our next workshop is coming up September 12th?
September 12th, yep.
Yeah, Saturday, September 12th, and it's going to be a direct
give me some more hives.
It's going to give you some more hives, and seriously, my introvert friends, you need to be there. That's Georgie's workshop, but it's going to be about building connections and relationships with people, and in an introvert-friendly way, because like we said, she's an introvert too, even though she totally does not act like one. So anyhow, that's what we have for you coming up. Have a wonderful, awesome week, and we will see you back here next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Woo!
Bye for now.